Hey everyone, I'm Charlie and I'm going to show you how to do a headliner replacement on a 2004 Dodge Dakota. So you can see here, my headliner actually doesn't have any fabric at all. So I'm going to pull it out and put some new fabric in it. So the first thing I'm going to do, well, after I already got halfway started, is actually disconnect my battery terminal. I'm gonna have my doors open for a little while and you can see the lights inside are on and I don't want to drain the battery. So I'm gonna turn off, get my battery disconnected here, and then get to work removing parts of the headliner. All right, battery terminal's disconnected, so we'll get started on the inside. So on the inside here, we've got these hooks that hold up the side view mirrors. We've got this light here, what people happily call the oh shit handles, and these corners all the way around, and then the back light there. So I'm gonna go one at a time and just kind of take them all out. So I'm starting on these guys up here, and it's a little tough to see, but basically there's a cap that sits around here, and then there's the actual body portion, and then the interior of the hook. So what I'm doing is I'm separating those two. I'm kind of prying this part out just very gently with a small screwdriver, and then this top part will just come right out. And that one's out. You see how this portion kind of came out, opened up this top section here, and then it just slid right out here. And that's one. We're gonna work on the next. Now you can see this here just has a couple screwdrivers, Phillips head screws, one here, one here. So we're gonna open those up and take this piece out. We're just gonna, it just came right out. That's it, nothing special on this one, guys. All right, so here's this piece. This is the one that actually sits up here. Now how this one came out, it's got a bunch of these little snap fittings here, and I just very easily worked my screwdriver kind of in like this and was able to push out each one of those prongs. And I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. So I've got this cup holder portion in the center. I've got driver side sunshade, passenger side sunshade, and then I've got the holders and then their associated screws right in the bottom here. That way I don't lose track of anything and it all goes where it's supposed to go. Now we're on to these handles, entry handles, oh shit handles, and they've just got a Phillips head in there. So I'm gonna unscrew these. Actually, no, I apologize, these are a Torx head, maybe a T30. Let me grab my tools and I'll be right back. And here's this one. I've got like this must be a T30. I've got one size smaller and it just so happens to be working for me. So best of luck to you guys. I'll tell you, Torx bits are amazing, except I don't have all the Torx bits. And here's the other side. I'm on the passenger side now. These are in there pretty good. They must have like a little thread locker on here, but nothing a little screwdriver can't undo. All right, so now we're on the back here. So you can see I'm just in the back passenger seat. We've got a handle, this light, and then two buttons here that I'm gonna see if I can squeeze out. And then all we'll have left are the 6 frame panels here, or trim pieces. Now, if you guys can tell, there's a bunch of schmutz here from the previous owner, and this is, yucky to get on your fingers. You might want to have like a pair of gloves when you're doing this. Anyways, so for this handle, it's got these little trim cover pieces here, and those just squeeze themselves out here. That's all they look like. So I'm gonna put those hopefully in a spot where I don't lose them, and then get these handles out. Now for these back handles, it's that same T30. So I just checked, this is a T25 here, but it's a little loose getting into these guys, so you probably want a T30 if you have it, but this T25 is working just fine for me. All right, we're down to our last 3 pieces here. So I'm gonna take my handy dandy screwdriver and just try to lightly leverage this fella out, and same with these buttons, and then I'll be onto these panel trim pieces. All right, so here's the backlight. And by the way, if you guys ever wanted to, while you're doing this, now's the time to swap these out for LEDs. You can, you don't have to. Incandescents work just fine. And who knows, I might see if I can get a couple for a few bucks on Amazon. So this one comes out in a way that, you know, Chuck over here didn't have go so well. So this one has a plastic piece like this. I'll put it on my leg here, and it kind of sits out like this on the inside, and that actually goes up behind your headliner. Well, in my efforts to wiggle this thing out, I snapped mine straight like that, and then it snapped off. So I'm going to see if I can put this back on with the old reliable super glue, but while I'm here, I might as well give it a nice clean and spritz off too. This stuff is yucky. All right, so desperate times call for desperate measures. I've been at these buttons for about 15 minutes and I couldn't get them off. They're basically have like a little snap fitting all the way in the back. I just ended up cutting the head off, and then that brings the headliner free. What I'll end up doing is finding a design for these, or maybe get a couple from the junkyard, and I might even just 3D print a couple replacements. They can't be that hard. Maybe some that you know, thread. Anyways, I'm onto these panels here. So these just kind of, they curl around the side of the frame here, and to take them off, you just kind of uncurl them back around the frame. All right, so here's this back corner piece done. I just kind of, like I said, that it wraps around this edge here. So you just kind of grab your fingers in there and peel it out. And then what I did is I loosened it just enough at the top to get the headliner out from behind it. And then I'm gonna leave it as is. I might need to take it out a little bit further, but for now I just want to get this part, just get the headliner out. All right, everyone, so I discovered that you actually have to take off these back trim pieces to get these pieces out. You can see how they hold this part up. So I've got the front off here. That was pretty straightforward. This one just kind of unclips. Same thing over here. This one, like I said, you just kind of grab it and then grab it on the other side, and then it'll come out. For the back, I had to take the seat belts off, and basically there's a cover piece which just has a little snap fitting to it, and then there's a T50 bolt here. So of course I didn't have one, so I ended up running to the store and getting a T50. That's why it's dark out. And once you take this off, those pieces will come right out. So I'll get started on that. I'll do my best to film this here, but you basically, well, this one came off pretty easy. Grab it from each side, and that's it. You can see my headliner is already starting to come down, so I'm going to get that last one over there, and then I'm going to try to weasel this thing out of here. All right, let's try this one again. So grab from here, see it'll kind of scooch its way over, and then grip from the other side, and there it goes. Well, there it went. So now I've got this whole headliner off. You can see I'm wiggling it here. So now the challenge will be how to get it the heck out of here. All right, so here it is, and as you can tell, this is all real dirty. So we're gonna give this a scrub down with the brush. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a little soapy water. We'll see what I feel like doing. And once we get it cleaned up, we'll put the new fabric on. All right, guys, so I'll show you here. This is the headliner taken off the truck, as you guys knew earlier. But what you can see is on this side, I've taken just a little bowl and some soapy water, and actually taken a brush and kind of scrubbed it to get all the old adhesive and, you know, whatever schmutz off of it. And you can see it's almost all clean. There's a couple little spots here and there I might go back for. And then here's the other side. I haven't done anything here, and you can see this is all schmutz. My guess is it's the old adhesive that's worn out, beat up, whatever. So I'm gonna go, like I said, cover this whole thing, make sure it's nice and clean. I'm kind of doing maybe a strip about this wide down at a time, and then kind of dabbing it up with a paper towel as I go. That way this thing isn't, you know, sitting soaking in soapy water for that long. But Once I get this all done, it'll be ready to put the new headliner fabric on, and then I'll show you guys how to do that later. And there is a cleaned headliner. This took me about, I don't know, 45 minutes. I went through 2 bowls of soap here, and you can see all that schmutz in the bottom here. You know, this is like a dish soap kind of stuff, so it's usually blue. But anyways, I cleaned as much off of this as I could. I looked for any spots, you know, that adhesive, that schmutzy stuff. I just did a spot check around it to make sure there's not a whole lot left on it. And you guys can't see from this picture, but it's got a little sheen to it, and that's the water that's in it from me brushing it. So what I'm going to do is let this sit overnight and dry out a good bit, and that way, you know, when I work on it later this week, it'll be nice and dry, ready to accept the adhesive, and I won't have any issues down the road. And here's all 8 jillion paper towels I used, but they were sacrificed for a worthy cause. All right, next stop is getting the adhesive on and getting the fabric on. All right, everyone, so I'll show you here what I've got going so far. Here's the headliner with the fabric on top here. And what I did is I took this 3M Super 77 spray adhesive. This was actually recommended by another YouTuber, so props to you, man. I'll put the reference down in the description. We ended up spraying this half here, which is actually the front, up until that divider bar there. Let it sit for about 2.5, 3.5 minutes, and then just easily work that fabric into all the areas. And you'll be able to see here, this is where there's a cutout for, I believe, the handles. Right here, you can see that wiggle. That's where there's a cutout for the dome light. And then over here, there's another one. But just be real liberal on the adhesive. Be patient with it. Make sure you get all these edges. I've actually got a binder clip here. These corners just didn't want to stick on their own, so I've got this clip here that's holding that in. So once that's done, or we're going to give it another, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, we'll pull this set of the fabric, which is just laid on for a dry fit. We'll pull that back, spray that entire section down, and then we'll easily work the fabric back into it and let it settle into all the spots. Now this adhesive, if you need to, it can come back up. You can pull it back up before it's fully cured, and it's worth it to remove any, you know, potential air bubbles like this, because over time those will get worse and worse, and you'll end up with a saggy headliner, which is probably the reason you're doing this in the first place. So take your time with it. Don't be afraid to spritz a little extra adhesive. You know, if you have an air pocket like that, we actually did right where this binder clip is. So we pulled this back up just a smidge, sprayed some extra spray adhesive here, and then put that fabric right back in, and it was able to settle in for us, which is great. The other thing is, this is obviously inside. The directions recommend a well-ventilated area, or, you know, preferably outside. So we just have our kitchen fan going here. So, all right, we're gonna go do the other half, and we'll let you know how it goes. All right, guys, so I'm going to take a little jump forward here. Here's the headliner. I was able to put it all back in, and the keyword is carefully. So basically, I ended up taking out the seats, as you can see here, because I have to shampoo the seats and get those all cleaned up. But how you would do this is you bring it in through either the driver's side front door or the passenger side front door, and just kind of bring it in like this on an angle, and then get it to sit like this. Getting it to bend around the steering wheel was a little tricky. Again, the key word is carefully. And then lift it up to get into place. Now, one of the challenges I had doing this myself is holding this thing up. It's pretty big and it doesn't like to be well balanced. So what I ended up doing was having some bungee cords that went from driver's side door over to passenger side door, and then same thing on the back passenger side to back driver side, and that ended up holding it in place. And after that, I had all these trim pieces. What I ended up doing is I took them inside, had some soapy water, and gave them a brush down, and that cleaned up a lot of that gunk, grease, you know, people's hands, fingers, cigarette smoke, whatever residue off of that. So those came out all nice and clean, as you can see, and then they just snap back into place. So you can kind of start wherever you want. You know, I initially tried to start with the handlebars in the back, and that did not go well. So I ended up moving to some of these trim pieces here just to get them in place, get them in all the way around. The front one seemed to work well for me when I got that going. So, you know, if you guys want, give that a try first and then kind of work your way back. These pieces also worked out pretty well. They're just a couple of Phillips heads. Those screw in. Right now, I've got both of these handles in. I've just got to put the little trim pieces in here and here as they are on this side, and those will get another little cleaning here. But those went in pretty easily. Now I'm working on the seat belts. Now these bolts are for the seat belts, and they are T50 Torx heads. So they thread in right here, and then on the back side, same T50 head, but those sit through this little back hole here, and you just end up taking this portion of the seat belt. Forgive me as I only have one hand. Take that one piece, put it through like that, bring this up, thread it in, and that's it. So I'm gonna keep going here. All right, guys, here we go. So I've got, all this is, there's a set of threads in the back here behind this concealer piece, and I'm just hand threading it to start. And then once that's in good shape, I'll take my ratchet and tighten it down that way. And what happens with these ones is they have a spot where they end up bottoming out. So like this one, that's about as hard as I can turn it, so that's good. That's as far as she's gonna go. And some people like to use thread lock, anti-seize on these. They don't really rust at all because they're all interior, so you don't need either of those. Now once you've got all your seat belts on, you want to put these little concealer caps back on, and you'll see on either side of these two rectangles here, and on the bottom of this, or on the back side, you'll see these little retaining pieces. This one's not doing so hot, but basically I give these a little pre-bend or pre-squish just to kind of make sure that they stay flat. Just like that, just a little squish. Line it up, and then try to pull this piece out off the back, because those triangle pieces will stick through like that, and then they won't go back any further. And that's it. There you go. All set. Okay, guys, so what a challenge getting this thing back in. So how it works is there's a piece that's connected to your car's electrical system, and that stays up here. There we go. So what I ended up doing was I connected those pieces together, and then I slid this side in first. It has a long plastic piece that goes on the upper side. This, what you can see here, is the lower side. So I slipped that in this way, and then on this side where there's this glass, you can actually see right here, these two dark patches, there's a clip that goes kind of shaped like this on the back side. So I took a pair of needle nose, pushed that in, and then forced this thing up. And that's about it. Make sure it's all clipped in all the way around. It's just got snap fittings that connect this front half to the back half, or the driver or interior side to the roof side. And then these buttons sit right back in, and that's it. All right, so getting the headliner back in. Like I said, this fella was a pain in the butt. I just got this one in the back, and that's my 3D printed button right there. I've got another one cooking. I accidentally broke one on the way in. So I'll show you guys this. These hold your sunshades. Now, the way to put these back in, if you can see here, there's two prongs and then there's one in the middle. And what happens is there's a internal square inside here. You might be able to just see some of it. There's a corner, goes all the way around. Now, what ends up happening is you take this, push it into that square, into that rectangle, and then as you push this top portion up, you can actually see the inside here, it spreads out these two prongs here, and that keeps it locked up in the top. So now if you make a mistake, if you got to do this again, all you do is take a screwdriver and just pry that open. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And there you go. That took all of 30 seconds. Yeah, so basically the biggest challenge is pushing it all the way into that rectangular piece and kind of holding it up there, because, you know, the headliner is going to resist you. It's going to push back, and then push this like a button, and that's it. And don't tell me, oh, I still put one in backwards. Oh boy. And that's it. To get this piece in here, there's a portion of this plastic here that's one piece that kind of makes this right angle turn. So you kind of squeeze that in like that, and then just press fit. This side over here, there's a little tab, so try to give it a little more, push a little bit to the right as you push this in, and that's it. And again, these are my little 3D printed buttons. If anybody comments, I can always post the design in the description. They're nothing special, and they just kind of squeeze in there and then they squeeze out. But that's it, guys. That's how to replace your headliner fabric in a 2004 Dodge Dakota. Thanks everybody for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye.